Welcome, everyone, back to Between the Seams with Marty and Mack, brought to you by the Triple Play Fantasy Network. Week 18, we are just treading through this whole season, man. It's moving so quickly. So we're going to be covering, again, Week 18, and for us, that is August 9th through August 15th. And before we hop into it, Mack, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. I'm on a different laptop than usual, so my webcam is a little jacked up, but as long as you can hear me, I suppose we're doing all right. So
we can hear you, and we just all wonder what planet you're currently on, because it looks like this is like some old WandaVision stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it kind of does.
All right, well, hey, let's review our Week 17 hitters, or our Week 17 players, as we always do, and we're going to start with our hitters. Mac, how did we do last week, or this week, actually?
This last week was okay. My hitters were pretty mediocre. I was hoping for more. So first hitter was Jaymar Candelario. Jaymar, he went 4 for 14 so far in the week. He's got a little bit of time to make up. I love the Sunday home runs that save our weeks, but he's 4 for 14 with a run, 2 RBIs. He's okay, fine average, good OBP. He actually had I can't remember how many walks. I think 3 or 4 walks in the week, so better OBP than average, but Our cover athlete, though, Abraham Toro, was probably my best pick. He went 7 for 19, had a home run, 3 runs, and an RBI, and he just has been raking and continues to rake.
Yeah, he's been absolutely incredible. He's still only 35% owned, and today, I don't know if those stats included today. Did they?
They did not.
They did not. Awesome. Today, he's 1 for 2 with a run, an RBI, and a walk. And that I was actually watching the game. It was 0-2. He worked a full count, got walked with the bases loaded, gets the RBI. I love Toro. Love me some Toro.
And then finally, we got Harrison Bader. He went 3 for 14, all singles, no counting stats. So he's not going to kill your week, but it's not very useful either. Would have liked this more, but he's still a hot bat and has been for a while now, as I talked about last week. So,
and you still like him for the rest of the season, right?
Yeah. Plus, yes, and I'm not mad that he was bad because the Braves swept the Cardinals.
Oh, there we go.
This week, so
there we go.
It was a personal victory.
Awesome. Well, hey, at this point, with all of the injuries and the mishaps that's happened for the Braves and for Braves fans, we're just happy for you that you can, have a good a celebratory week.
Over instead. 500 for the first time all season.
You got to take it. The Tigers aren't there, but they're getting weirdly close. It's crazy.
Yeah, they are.
It's nuts. All right, so I'll take a look at my Week 17 hitters. Number 1, we're going to start with Rowdy Tellez, Brewers first baseman, and he did really well. Tellez he slashed 455, 571, 818. He's 5 for 14 with a home run, 5 RBIs, 1 run, and he has 3 walks in those 14 plate appearances. So he's got a 21.4 walk base on ball percentage. So he's doing a little bit of it all. And he's going to continue to hit in that lineup. The lineup's actually doing, just beyond expectation, at least from where I stood before the season started. But I like Tellez for now and for the rest of the season. Number 2 was Miguel Cabrera. He's still only 6% rostered, but he did get me a home run. I'm hoping for 2, as we talked about last week. I think either today or tomorrow he will have 2. But for now, this Saturday afternoon, he's 4 for 17. He's slashing 267, 353, and 467 on the week. Like I said, he has the home run. He has 2 RBIs, 1 run, and 2 walks. So pretty quiet week so far. But like you said, we got 2 more games left. And the Saturday and Sundays, for some reason, it seems like the Tigers go, or not the Tigers, but players just in general, I don't know, they got a little more pep in their step. Number 3 was Brian Anderson doing Brian Anderson things, the Marlins third base / outfielder. So to put it simply, he was a dud. 2 for 12. He had a double, no walks. He batted 182 for the week, and so he's not. I was hoping he'd be continue what he was building on before and get more back to like the 2019 Brian Anderson. But hey, can't have it all. That's why
he should be done streaming Marlins. It feels I think we've exhausted. We've tried Garrett Cooper. We've tried Corey Dickerson. We've tried Brian Anderson.
Yep.
And
Miguel Rojas may have made his way in there somewhere.
I did have Rojas, and that was actually he was probably the best one. So if you need anyone, he's had a good week so far. He's had at least a steal and something else. So I got him on a couple teams, but other than that,
it's Jazz or bust basically with that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Or Jesus.
Oh yeah, Aguilar has been incredible. I mean, the last month he's somewhat cooled off, but man, he's still like top up there in the RBIs, and he was basically free for draft season, so you can't be mad at that.
I said Jesus like they don't have Luzardo and Sanchez as well. So
that's true, but I knew who you're talking about.
Yeah, we knew we were there.
Yeah, I gotcha. But yeah, you're right. You point that out. That's wild. Anyway, so let's hop to our week 17 pitchers. How do we do there?
This was about as mediocre as a week can get, and this is what happens when you're reaching for really deep picks. Some are gonna hit, and some are gonna be just okay. So, number one was Zach Thompson. He got the Mets. I was hoping for more from him, but he just had 4 innings pitched. He gave up 3 hits and 2 walks, so he's just not gonna kill your WHIP. Gave up 2 runs, not gonna kill your ERA, but only had 2 strikeouts and no decisions. So. He was a net, like basically as neutral as you can be for your team. And then I had Eric Lauer, and he got Pittsburgh, and it's pretty much a very Eric Lauer line. He went 5 innings. He had gave up 3 hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts, and no runs. So most of his outs came via contact, which is the way he does. He didn't pitch very deep into the game, which is the way he does. But he got you the W and got your decision and
the win, man.
Runs. So yeah, not a single earned run. So it was a pretty decent. That's what you hope that the back end of the Brewers rotation is able to do to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And that's what they're hoping for with Peralta, Burns, and Woodruff at the front. They just need Hauser and Lauer to just like. Brett Anderson sometimes just like give us some innings. That's it.
Yep.
And then finally I had Kyle Muller, and I had high hopes for this start because Muller had been really good his last couple starts, and he just couldn't locate his fastball. I watched part of the game. He went 4 2/3. He gave up 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. He gave up 3 earned runs. Got the no decision because he didn't go 5. But the Braves did end up winning this game, but Muller just gave up more hard contact than you would like to see. The strikeouts weren't there. He got a little lucky with some BABIP luck, even with the 3 earned runs. So he just didn't have his A stuff. I still like him.
And that's what I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about him moving forward rest of season?
I think he's a good option. Muller, this is his thing, though, and this is when I think I mentioned it last week, was that Muller's knock in the minors was his control problems. And so they hadn't shown up yet over his last couple starts, and this was him showing what his struggles could be.
Yep.
And so he's a young kid, young pitcher, big boy, though. Looks like Lance Lynn out there, young Lance Lynn.
There we go. Oh, I love that.
I think he's going to be a good option for the Braves rest of season, good option for some quality innings. He will have some blow-up starts likely.
Any indication of whether or not they're going to try to limit him or any of their starters?
I don't see any reason why they would, because Muller didn't come up till midway through the season, and they really need the innings with how bad their bullpen is pretty consistently. So,
all right, cool.
I see them trying to push him 6 innings as many times as they can.
All right, sounds good. All right, now hop into my Week 17 pitchers, starting with Kyle Freeland. So the lefty. He did actually pretty well. He went 5 innings. He had 5 Ks. He had no walks, and he got the win versus the Cubs. So, obviously, the Cubs at this point are pretty decimated. But anytime you roll Kyle Freeland out there, as a roll of the dice, as only 6% rostered, you'll definitely take the win. So, I was really excited about that. And what I wasn't as excited about, and when you talked about, I think you said mediocre pitching or just being mediocre in general, Drew Smiley's face popped up right in my head, his player card, just bright. That's who I think what mediocre.
The shining patron saint of mediocrity.
That's what it means. Yeah, that's what that means to me. So against St. Louis, he only went 4 innings. He only struck out 2. He issued a walk, and he was pretty much toast after Nolan Arenado hit a 3-run homer off him. So he was pinched hit for in the 5th. Yeah, just, a disappointing outing from him. He continues to be a roller coaster. I was really hoping he would build off his season in San Francisco last year, but you're, as a Braves fan, you know what it is, man. It's just you're riding the wave, man. It is what it is. So, and number 3 was Chris Bubich, 5% rostered, and I was a little scared because he's going against the White Sox. Even though he's done well against them before, they're one of the best offenses in baseball. So I did roll the dice with this, but he got you the quality start. So he only allowed 3 runs over 6 innings. He didn't get you the win because the Royals bullpen blew it on the back end, but he got you 8 Ks, a 4.50 ERA, and a 1.00 WHIP. And then he should have a game later today as well. So that's going to build on those stats there. But overall, for me, for pitching, I would say it was pretty good. I'd give myself like a B+. Hopefully we can build on that and do even better. Mac, it's the best time of the week. It's for our new upcoming week, week 18, August 9th through August 15th. Let's start. Oh, and before I do, let's have a little breakdown of the week. So there is just one team overall, Mac, who has 5 games on their schedule, and that's going to be the Astros. So the best team in baseball offensively only has 5 games. So that's good for pitchers everywhere. The Rockies are on the road, so Coors, is pretty much off the table for anybody trying to stream against the Rockies, whether they're away or at home at Coors. And so that's where we're pretty much starting off there. Week 18, we'll start with our hitting as we always do. Mac, who do you got?
All right, so I've got some interesting guys. I actually thought about, I'm glad you said that about the Astros. I thought for a second about throwing Aledmys Diaz in here, and I think he's worth a look. Yeah. But he doesn't have the games this week to really be justified for a pickup. But he's available in a lot of leagues, and he's hit pretty well over the last couple weeks since he's moved into a regular playing time role with the Astros. And he might move back out. Who knows? He's been in and out all year. But while he's in, he's been hitting pretty well. That said, let's talk about Yadiel Hernandez, a guy who got playing time as a result of some trades. So this is what we've talked about on the show last week, and we've talked a little bit off air. It's just basically finding guys who are taking advantage of the playing time for teams that traded away their roster.
You sold it all. And now there's a huge hole in every single lineup, and they need bodies to fill that hole. Phrasing, but that's what it is.
Yadiel Hernandez is one of those bodies.
There it is.
Filling the hole. And since July 29th, here are his numbers. This is interesting because I had never heard of this guy before, basically this week. He has a 484 average, 529 OBP, and a 774 slugging percentage with a WOBA over 500 since he started getting regular playing time. He's been a little all over the lineup. Do I think he's going to continue doing this? I don't know. Heck, it's probably a Phillip Evans sort of thing where it's just a journeyman getting a chance and trying to make the most of it. But while he's doing it, I mean, heck, riding the Phillip Evans wave was great. Riding the Patrick Wisdom wave has been great.
And we're deep in the season, So even though he's a 33-year-old, coming out of nowhere, he's still batting. This is where he's batted so far in the lineup, either 4th, 5th, or 3rd. His last night, he was 3rd in the lineup. So the Nationals, they're being aggressive with where they're putting him in the lineup, and that's just leading to opportunities because how long? Yeah, since July 29th, he's had a hit in every game.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Yep. Since he started. So he's 6% rostered. I think he's worth a look in deep leagues, especially if you need some help, need to make that playoff push.
Yep.
And then second is Jorge Solaire. And so this is a really interesting guy because he's probably been dropped in your league and maybe picked back up a couple times. And he's been flying off the waiver wire this week because he's in Atlanta now. And apparently he likes hitting in Atlanta a lot more than he likes hitting in Kansas City. However, he was hitting pretty well in Kansas City since the All-Star break, really. So here's the numbers since the All-Star break. A 247 average, 341 OBP, and a 623 slugging percentage. He's got 9 home runs since then, a WOBA over 400, 402, 155 weighted runs created plus. And now in the Atlanta lineup, he's batting second every single day, pretty much.
Wow.
So previously he was batting third, fourth, fifth, sixth when he was really bad for a little while there. He was 7th, 8th in the Kansas City lineup. And now he's locked into that everyday second place spot, batting between Ozzie Albies and Freddie Freeman. So it's not the worst spot. That's quite the offensive upgrade.
That's a huge upgrade. And we talked about this before. There's just no energy in Kansas City in that lineup, and they're not fighting for anything. And so he has this opportunity to come over, not replace Ronald Acuna, because unfortunately that's impossible, but there's a big hole there that needs to be filled, and he has the bat to be able to do it.
All of a sudden they're a contender. They're part of it. It's a contending team.
Yep.
And those guys, Peterson, Duvall, Solaire, have really rejuvenated the Braves. Brian Snitker still refuses to put Adam Duvall in center field for some reason. That is neither here nor there. Solaire is a good pickup. He's 62% rostered, so he's going to be right on that verge for guys in 12 teams and 10 teams. But if you're waiting on a guy, if you need a Laureano replacement, or you're waiting on a guy to start producing, we are most of the way through the season. That guy's probably not going to produce. I held on to Ian Happ and Anthony Santander for too long. You probably already cut him loose in 10 or 12 teamers. But if you're sitting on a guy you think is going to be really good and you're letting Solaire hit 10 home runs on the waiver wire, just pick him up. Pick him up.
And it actually, what he's doing lately, and this trade made and we talked about this earlier in the year, I traded Carlos Rodon for Jorge Solaire straight up. And for a long time, it looked pretty brutal. It's starting to look less brutal. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it works out. As an Atlanta fan, I'm all in on that, on your side of the trade. And then finally, we got Cesar Hernandez. He's 34% rostered, and this is another guy that's really interesting. We've talked about him before once on the show. And basically, over the last 3 weeks, here are his numbers. He's batting .308 with a .395 OBP and a .554 slugging percentage. And look, I know we do slash lines a lot. They're not the end-all, be-all of production, et cetera, et cetera. They all have their problems as stats, but they're good indicators. They're the stats that are going down on paper in your leagues, essentially.
Yep.
And Hernandez has kind of been raking pretty much all year. He's got 19 home runs. His previous high in home runs was 15 in 2018. He hit 14 in 2019, but he's got 19 already.
He's cruising past that.
Yeah, he's on pace for 25 right now. So, and he's batting in a really good lineup, batting at the top of a really good lineup, and an everyday second base role.
He's locked in number 2 in the lineup almost every single time out.
Took over Madrigal's position, spot in the lineup essentially. So, I like Hernandez a lot. I think that he's a great rest of season option at a pretty rough spot in the Keystone. If you picked up Jonathan Scope and he rakes for you for a while, you know Scope well enough, if you've been in the fantasy world for long, to know that he's really streaky.
Yep.
Scope may not go on a run for the rest of the season. He's generally a 25 home run bat, and he's right there at it already. So maybe, but all I'm saying is if you need a replacement at second base,
he's a good option, and especially most of the time when a player gets traded midseason, they're going across, maybe to an AL, to an NL team, or maybe from the AL East to the AL West, and there's a little bit of a, you have to get used to it. So, but with him, he stayed in the AL Central, went from Cleveland to the White Sox to a horrible offensive team to one of the best offensive teams in baseball. So, yeah, I think his arrow is really up for the rest of the year.
Yep. All right, awesome. That's my guys. So Yadiel Hernandez, Jorge Solaire, and Cesar Hernandez. So we got a couple Hernandezes.
There we go. Rightfully so. And let's take a look at my Week 18 hitters, starting off with Rafael Ortega, one of the hottest hitters in baseball. So if he's still out there on your waiver wire, please pick him up. He is 34% owned. The Cubs next week have 7 games, so they have a full slate, 4 against the Brewers and 3 against the Marlins. And over the last 7 days in 5x5 OBP leagues, Ortega currently ranks number 1. So I don't need to tell you that's absolutely incredible. He's leading off for the Cubs, and he's another one of those guys. There's a huge hole in that offense, and they need someone to fill it, and there he is. So he has the green light to steal. In the last 7 days, he has 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, and 2 steals. So it's he's the guy to pick up right now. He'll be flying off all the waiver wire and the fab coming up here tomorrow when that comes out. So Ortega, pick him up. Number 2, Ahmed Rosario. Indians, so he has shortstop and outfield eligibility. He's 28% rostered. The Indians also have 7 games next week. They have 1 versus the Reds, so that's obviously a rain delay or postponement earlier in the season. So they got a quick game against the Reds, 3 versus the Athletics, and 3 versus the Tigers. So he's currently batting second in the lineup every day. Over the last 7 days, he has 1 home run, and most importantly, he has 3 steals. So if you need a steals guy, which we all do in our roto leagues, especially right now, he is the guy to pick up. He's going to be hitting at the top of the lineup, and he gives you the best chance day in, day out to get a swipe. So pick up Ahmed Rosario. And number 3, Alex Dickerson. I've gone full circle with him, Mac. I loved him so much at the beginning of the year, and then I wrote him off, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And now I am back. Alex Dickerson, outfielder for the Giants, 8% rostered. Over the last week, he has 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and he has an OBP of 389. I've talked about this before, but I think that although people are realizing now the Giants are pretty good, I don't think they realize just how much of a monster the Giants offense has been all year. So as of last night, they were tied for first in home runs with the Blue Jays and third in team OPS. So they're literally doing everything they possibly can. And Alex Dickerson is now hitting 3rd, 4th, or 5th in that lineup day in, day out, and he's hot. So it's a no-brainer. You got to pick him up for now. Just ride the wave. I think you're going to be very happy with that.
Yeah, speaking of Giants, Darren Ruff's worth a look too. If you're in the need for first base or outfield help, he's got first base and left field eligibility. He doesn't bat every day because every now and then he gets platooned with a guy like Dickerson.
Yep.
And
he might have the shortest name in Major League Baseball. I'm not sure.
Ruff.
It's
pretty
close.
Boy, if you haven't been paying attention, he's raked for like the last month. He's honestly, I'm ready to call him an elite bat, but
really?
Yeah. Yeah, his numbers
Spicy.
are pretty insane.
I'm trying to pull him up right now, but Yahoo's like, I don't know if I want to work. And I'm like, I get it, dude. You barely ever do.
I get it.
At least you're not Fantrax.
This season, he's batting .275 with a 390 OBP and a 557 slugging. So he's at a 947 OPS.
Wow. 12 home runs, 2 swipes, first base and outfield eligibility, only 7% roster. He's just flying under the radar, man. And a big part of it is it's just because he plays out west. He plays out west. All their games are at 10 o'clock, Eastern for us. So I barely get to see it. And I lived on the West Coast for so long, and it gives you the opportunity to watch both coasts of baseball. But, man, if you're over here in the East Coast, which not unfortunately, but a lot of baseball fans are East Coast or, Midwest, you don't ever get to see them. And so people like us this is what we do. We look at this stuff way too much. There he is right there doing everything you want, half the league to do. You're waiting on people to turn around. Maybe you have Ramon Laureano and you need somebody, with outfield eligibility and get your home runs. There he is.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now let's hop to our Week 18 pitchers. Mac, who are we starting with?
We are starting with Daniel Lynch. So Daniel Lynch, basically, I've just got a trio of young guns for you here, and pick your poison, I suppose. So number one is Daniel Lynch. He gets the Yankees later on in the week, and all of these guys, this is what I love about the show, is they've all flown under my radar to some extent. And I wouldn't have been able to tell you that Daniel Lynch was doing so good recently because, I mean, you look at it, he's going to be facing the Yankees. He's got an over 6 ERA, and pretty much everyone says, well, that's a bad matchup. But over his last 3 starts, he's 2-1 with a 1.89 ERA. He had 7 Ks in 5 innings against the White Sox, which was one of the best offenses in baseball.
Yeah.
I like him against a pretty rough Yankees team. I know they've gotten better with Rizzo and Gallo, but they're still pretty K-prone.
Very K-prone. In last game, Lynch had 17 swinging strikes, including 12 on his slider.
Yep. So I'm a little wary because his FIP is 3.96, which it means his peripherals mean he might be out pitching a little bit. But I mean, a 1.89 ERA over 3 starts is, of course, he's out pitching himself a little bit.
Yep.
But I like it. I like to see him develop. He's got a lot of prospect pedigree. He's overlooked because he's Kansas City prospect, one of those guys that doesn't. They just don't have a super exciting system, so people will overlook guys like this. But I think that I've liked seeing him develop over his last few starts. So I like that matchup a lot. It's probably my second favorite. My favorite, though, is probably Cal Quantrill. He's 33% owned, so not quite as deep league of a streamer. But he's going to get Oakland this week. Over his last 5 starts, he's 2-0 with a 0.90 ERA. Last night he had 10 strikeouts and I think 7 innings pitched.
Yep. 7 shutout.
7 shutout innings. He looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
And Quantrill got a little bit of hype. He was in sort of the Tristan McKenzie tier of hype. Like people were talking back and forth of like,
it was kind of like
which one of them is going to get the rotation spot? Turns out neither of them did for a while. Yeah. But Quantrill's been really good over his last 5. And like Lynch, he's got some pedigree. He just kind of has been laboring back and forth for a little while. And you just got to give these guys time to develop. I don't know if Quantrill is going to be an ace, but I think he's a solid option. He limits hard contact really well. Yep. And Oakland is a good option to start him against because they're the second worst offense by Team WOBA since July 1st. So essentially since the All-Star break, they've been the second worst offense. And they're also very strikeout prone. If you get past Matt Olson, I mean, I saw Matt Chapman, how far the mighty will fall. He was batting 8 in the lineup the other day.
Yeah, he got dropped in a 10-team league I was in, and I was just like, that's where he's at.
I'm not touching him.
Nope.
Yeah. So, I like that option a lot. And then finally, this is a fun one. This is one we talked about this a little.
Let's have some fun, Mac.
Let's have some fun. Tanner Houck. And I have Tanner Houck in there with an exclamation point because I like Tanner. I like Tanner a lot. He gets the Rays, which isn't the best matchup ever, and he gets the Blue Jay, or he's projected to get the Rays. He might end up with the Orioles. It depends on where they end up throwing him in. Yeah. So monitor his situation because he's supposed to start one of the doubleheader games against the Blue Jays today. But over the year, he's got a 12 K9. So he's got 12 strikeouts per 9 inning, 2.45 ERA in the limited time he's had. Last year, he looked really good. He had a little bit of a mini breakout. And his stuff is just nasty. There's not going to be many guys who come up with this much like raw potential. And he just looks like he just has so much raw potential. I love him as a dynasty sleeper to be a really solid option next year. I'll probably be drafting him a lot late in redraft to see if he gets stretched out as a starter. But I'm excited about the start. I'm excited to see him.
It's a great. Honestly, I think that is my favorite stream of yours, and it's because the Tampa Bay Rays strike out the most of any team in Major League Baseball. So it's possible he could dazzle, man.
It's true. He really could. So Tanner Houck, I don't know if he'll get a full run. He hasn't really got, I think the most he's thrown this season innings-wise was 4 2/3 or maybe 5, but that's about I was looking at it earlier. I think the longest he's gone is 5 innings, but we'll see if they stretch him out. Boston really needs the quality innings. So,
yep.
That's my guys: Daniel Lynch, Cal Quantrill, and Tanner Houck.
All right. I'm excited actually to see each three of those, so I'll be paying attention closely. Let's take a look at my Week 18 pitchers, and starting with number 1, Ross Stripling for the Blue Jays, 17% rostered, and he's going against the Angels. So, Mac, I have come full circle here with Ross Stripling. I loved him when he was on the Dodgers, and I was really excited. He goes to the Blue Jays, and I'm like, hey, it's not the best park, but hey, he should be starting. Everything should be fine. And it's been pretty rough for him. He's been up and down, but now I'm finally feeling comfortable enough to roster him. So over his last 3 starts, we've been getting the best version of Stripling you could ever ask for. Over 16.1 innings, he has a 1.35 ERA, 0.86 WHIP, and 13 strikeouts. So I like that they're going against the Angels. The Angels are a middle-of-the-road team versus righties. They only rank 13th in Team WOBA versus righties. And the Blue Jays also give Stripling a good chance to win. And I think as we get closer here and we're in our head-to-head matchups going into the playoffs, got to get as many wins as possible here. So I really like Stripling against the Angels. Number 2 is Marco Gonzalez versus Texas, 38% rostered. I know I've said that I'm not ever going to do – I literally think I tweeted it. I'm done with Marco Gonzalez, but you do this long enough, Mac, as you and I. Yeah, dude. But you do this as long as we do it, and each week, day in, day out, you always come back. So never say never on any of these. Marco's been incredible over his last 3 games. In 18 innings, he has a 1.47 ERA, 0.93 WHIP, 2 quality starts, and 13 Ks. And what you'll see you'll see this trend over all 3 of these pitchers that they're going to be better ratio plays. So they're going to help you more so in your ERA, in your WHIP, potentially help you with the quality start or win, but they're not going to be flashing, the high K, K per 9 or anything like that. So keep that in mind when you're building your roster for the week. If you're playing against a team that, really, really does well in Ks, look to a different squad. But if you're looking for all the other categories, I gotcha. Number 3 is going to be Adrian Hauser, Brewers, 22% rostered, and he has 2 starts. So at Chicago and at Pittsburgh. It really can't get better than that from a schedule standpoint. So I love that. Hauser's been really good over his last few starts in 11 innings. The last 11 innings, he has a 0.79 ERA and a 0.71 WHIP. So pretty much lights out. He has 6 Ks in those 11 innings. So, again, you're going to have to find your Ks somewhere else. His first start's going to be against Chicago, and, we don't have to go over it, but it's like a quad A team. And then his last outing, Hauser's last outing was against the Pirates, and he went 6.1 innings pitched, got 4 Ks, and he actually had a no-hitter for most of the game just before he was pulled. Now, he did have 5 walks, so that's always something, you got to be a little bit weary of. But I think he's going to go, and this is something from an organizational standpoint that makes me happy. The Brewers are just letting Hauser pitch as much as he wants. They're limiting their studs, limiting their innings, the Woodruffs and the Burns and everybody else. But with Hauser, they're just going to let him pitch as much as he can go. He went 104 pitches last game. So the quality start potential and the win potential are there since the Brewers offense has really turned it around and been a pretty formidable force. So my 3 pitchers for week 18 are Ross Stripling versus the Angels, Marco Gonzalez versus the Rangers, and Adrian Hauser versus Chicago Cubs and the Pirates. Bam.
All right.
There we go.
Yeah.
We get it in just in 33 minutes. I absolutely love it. Mac, it's currently 3:37 for me, 2:37 for you on a Saturday afternoon. Tell me, what do we got planned the rest of the weekend here?
I got to get some lunch. I haven't eaten today.
That.
Yeah, that's
with all that caffeine you had too.
I know, all the caffeine. Let me revise that. I have eaten like a third of a bag of Cheez-Its. But I could get some. I could get something else in my stomach. I think I'm gonna go play some spike ball with some friends. So
awesome.
I think that's the plan.
There you go, man. Enjoy the outside and the rest of your weekend. As always, you can find me at Triple Play Fantasy and on Twitter at Marty_Tallman. Christian Mack, where can we find you on Twitter?
At JChristianMack. The J stands for Jeremy, but I do not go by it. I don't know if I've ever shared that fact on this show, but there we go.
You have not. There we go. See, that happens when you go to the deep dive to the 34 minutes, the after show. You learn a little bit of personal information. All right, man. Well, hey, as always, it's great to talk baseball with you. I'm excited to continue the rest of this crazy season. And good luck to everybody for the rest of this week and going into next week. All right, bye-bye.
Absolutely.